Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Chocolate Saying, Ranty Rant, and Mark. How are you all doing?
Doing well, Nathan.
Oh, doing well. I'm hungover though, so I'll probably be no use to anybody today.
I'm sure
my friend having a boxing match yesterday, and we went out afterwards for drinks. Didn't get in till about 5 o'clock this morning, so yeah, not with it properly yet.
You've only been up a couple of hours and you're already on the show. Good for you, man.
I know, it's OCD, isn't it?
I'm sure you'll get some sleep afterwards.
Hope so. Need a fat English breakfast. That's what I need.
What about Mark? You been out and been photographing anything? I'm sure you have.
It's still very foggy here. It's warm, but very misty. I took the opportunity the other day to jump on the boat and go to Scotland and back. It only cost about 15 quid, hoping to get some good photography, but the ship had to use the foghorn all day. It was an awful day. So no clarity here yet.
Weird. Certainly last weekend when I went up to St. Bees, it was bizarre. There was loads of clouds. It would be to anybody's eye what you would class as an unclear day, not great weather conditions, but yet you could see the Isle of Man perfectly clearly. It was bizarre.
We're still affected by the Atlantic bringing lots of rain, and then it drops it on us before it gets to you. So you get a bit more or a bit less moisture in the air than we do.
Right.
I think our best month is going to be October, November. When the Atlantic seems to go to sleep during those months, and we get a bit of high pressure coming in.
Anthony was speaking to
miss any opportunities.
Anthony was speaking to one of the local residents at St. Bees, and he said the best time to view the Isle of Man is January, February time, according to him.
Yeah, it's the winter when it gets frosty and we get some high pressure. That seems to give us great clarity. So how prophetic did Father Ted turn out to be then? With the cows.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant the way that's worked out, because it just makes a mockery of people who can't see it or won't see it.
This is the assertion that globeheads don't perspective.
It's pretty sad that right now we need such an example to show these guys that they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Did you get Father Ted chocolate in America?
No, I really do. I don't. I mean, if we did, I don't know it. I don't know of it.
Yeah, it must be at least 25 years old now anyway. But did you see the clip?
No, I actually have to find it. You're talking about the one with the cow and when he's making the example?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's two priests. One is really dumb. That's his character that he plays, a dumb, stupid priest. And he can't work out why the cows are small or far away. It's really silly humour, but it's so bad it's actually quite funny.
Yeah, they're sat in a caravan, and he's got toy cows in his hand, the more intelligent of the two priests. He says, "Now look, Dougal, these cows are small." Then he points out the window and says, "Those cows are far away."
Dougal still doesn't get it.
And that's a perfect example of the ballers.
Yeah.
I suppose you could do it with anything,
that-
really. A toy car. You could do it with a toy car. Hold a toy car in your hand and look out the window and hold it up to another car.
This is something kids do, like with toys. Like I was doing that when I was a kid. Like why? How is it now? It's all of a sudden something that people don't understand. You know,
But it's
Well, they
subjective.
understand it all right. They
It's
just
subjective
ignore it.
denial. They need to deny
Yeah.
it because it isn't included in their mathematics. So that's the only reason these people are rendered gibbering idiots. It's not because they actually are. It's because they must deny it. And Alan's sort of get out, or his attempted get out, was to say, "I need the official explanation." It's like these people want to be lied to.
But Alan was asking
And then
you to present the official explanation. Isn't that
It's
falls
just
in
like a
his court, not in
cheating.
yours?
It's like a wife that's been continually cheated on, and she finds out for yet the 5th time that she's been cheated on, and she says, "I'm sure he's got an explanation."
yeah,
Been lied to.
battered wife syndrome,
At some point, you've got to accept it.
Battered.
You've been lied to.
like battered globe syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. It's like battered wife syndrome. They're just going to make every excuse, and when they're in the face of literally being made to look like retards, with a perfectly parallel example with Dougal, the retarded priest, even in the face of that, they would rather wait until they get an explanation from the husband who has just cheated on them. And it makes them look pathetic, but great. We're going to do it. We're just going to keep doing it to him, you know.
You know what's the funny thing is the only thing that they can come back with is sock accounts of stupid names. I mean, there's one in chat right now. Anthony Riley's back sack and crack nurse.
What?
It is quite funny.
I was going to say, little do they know that you love that.
I actually quite find that funny. But that's the level of things that they've got to say now. That's their trolling. That's all they can come up with. It's funny.
That is funny though.
But yeah, that's all they've got. They've got, "I'm having a gin," a new question, followed by another new question, followed by ad hominem. That's what they've got to answer a simple question. Why is it not necessary to account for angular size reduction at distance when comparing a photograph to a calculation that alludes to being a calculation to measure that photograph? Why isn't it necessary to account for perspective, in other words? "I don't think it's necessary." Well, let's explain that it's an absolute fact of life. "I don't think it's necessary." Really? Well, we encounter it when we click a camera or film anything or look at anything ever. "I don't think it's necessary." Really? Okay, well then you're a retard.
Yeah. At that point, I mean, what else can be said at that point? Like, you can't literally hold their hand and just. You gotta just let them walk through that door themselves.
Or let them deny, because it's extremely entertaining for people who are in the know
Yeah.
and do understand and do get that they've been lied to and have moved on from that fact. The battered wives who are still stuck by their husbands who are beating the crap out of them and cheating on them, they're just at the moment the metaphorical equivalent of those globeheads. And while battered wives, yes, there's some sympathy to be had for the abuse they suffer, these guys are subject to their own abuse. They are complicit. They are happy to request an official explanation from someone like Mick West when we catch them out, rather than realising that they've just been deceived. No, there must be an answer. Yeah, okay. You go and ask that liar for a new lie. See how you get on. You can present that new lie to us too and we'll laugh at it. We'll slap that one down too. Probably quicker than the last, because every single time a liar lies again, the lies get weaker. The web of deceit gets more fragile. So go and ask Mick West why. See what he comes up with and we'll beat that one to the ground too. And laugh at you again. And we'll continue to laugh at you till you accept the obvious and observable nature of reality. Flat plane, perspective. That's it.
Well, we were talking about this yesterday on TFR that Mick West, for instance, he's had to keep going back to his meta flump and readdressing things, all from what we've come up with on this show. So, like 2 or 3 times, he's had to change his website, and eventually, it's going to come to the point where the balls are going to realise that we have been right to make him change his stance. There's no reason for him to backtrack on stuff.
Yep. But if history teaches you anything, when there's frauds, they're going to fight tooth and nail to just lie again, to deny the fact that they're a fraud, to deny the fact that they've been lying. They'll just continue to lie and lie and lie. And that's where you get battered wives from, battered globers.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to say is like, if you have a secret and you're trying to keep the secret, and then somebody comes up with something, oh, well, you said you weren't at this place at that time, then so you will admit to that, but then
No.
you still won't tell them the lie.
Of course, that's where the admission is due, but what you get is a new lie. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When you get the new lie, it's always more fragile than the last.
Until eventually we'll have, we'll have complete reversal of where their original position was. So their original story makes absolutely zero sense to the position that they have right now. And that's what's going to happen eventually.
Yeah. Or they continue forever to come in saying, it's a globe, I'll beg the question, I'll ignore perspective and have us laugh at them. You know, I don't mind doing this indefinitely.
Yeah. But they want us to believe that entire towns and such can be lifted up and shown to the people of the earth in absolute clear, crystal clear, just through refraction of light. Come on. But what we see isn't what we see. It's all being refracted around the curvature of the earth. It's utter bull, all it is.
I mean, think about if that was really happening. Wouldn't that be happening like all over the place? There'd be mirages and all types of looming cities and things being brought up all over the place. Like,
Well, yeah,
it
exactly.
would be. I think it'd be crazy.
Think of it this
We'd
way.
just be-
If you were on a hill and you had somebody else on the other side of the hill, they're saying that at some point, if you just keep looking in that direction, eventually you're going to see the other person. At some
Right.
point, the conditions will be right enough for you to see the other person on the other side of the hill. Retarded.
Even on the road, when there's a brow of a hill, you don't see a car on the other side of that brow until the car is within your sight.
Yeah, we've got a vanishing point, and they've called it curvature.
Like they're being told to absolutely disregard reality.
Yeah. I was just watching one of my old videos actually, and it kind of shows that
Yo.
So
Yo.
really,
Hi.
Hello.
How's the nurse?
How's the nurse?
There's been a troll saying,
he has no idea.
yeah, just a troll account.
Somebody was mocking you.
Oh.
I think
I
it was
think-
called Anthony Riley's back sack and crack nurse.
I don't know.
You're getting popular. That's what it is. They have to make troll accounts of you.
Have I missed anything? Any evidence of curvature, axial rotation, gravity?
No.
About you? You've found any evidence for perpetual, self-perpetuating molten iron core?
Nothing, mate. I keep looking.
Well,
Hey,
a
speaking of
pressurized
that,
system next to a vacuum. Any evidence of that?
None.
None. Oh,
No.
that's
Apparently,
disappointing.
there's a meteorite that NASA are going to shoot out the sky. Have you seen it in the news?
Oh.
No, I don't watch the
Yeah.
news.
Oh my god.
Apparently, there's a meteorite on a collision course with not England, with the planet Earth, and NASA have got to be heroes.
Adam. What a load of
Seriously.
nonsense. Fear porn
It's
at
great,
its
isn't
best.
it? If you're a baller, you've got to believe this is true, right? You've got to push that it's true.
I love it.
Wonder how many billions that's going to cost.
Oh, millions, mate, millions upon billions.
Drop in the
They're gonna
ocean.
save. They're gonna save. Oh, who was it that says that's? I'm gonna save the fucking day. It was thingy out of Con Air, wasn't it? Nicolas Cage. I'm gonna save the fucking day. That's what NASA are gonna have to do. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna post a link to it.
I wonder if they'll come out with the same exact stupid ideas like a mylar sail and drilling a hole into all that kind of crap.
Like Armageddon.
That's Armageddon, yeah.
Morning, guys.
Hey, Adam.
Morning.
Good afternoon, innit?
Morning for me.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is a morning show for the
Afternoon to
Americans.
you.
Am I displaying, Nathan?
You are.
Oh, I am, right, okay. Yeah, this is just a video that I put up about 3 weeks ago or something, and I just filming this boat, and you can already see where it's starting to refract and mirror down on itself. And all that I'll do is I follow the boat, and it doesn't even look like a boat at the end. So how they can say that this is going over the curve when clearly it's just being miraged out? You know, it's literally just being miraged out. It doesn't even start. You've missed the front of the boat here because it's all just been blended out in this horizon. There, it looks nothing like the boat originally. You wouldn't even know. You would say that was probably just a platform if you didn't know it was a boat.
Levitating platform on the back of it.
Yeah, here. Yeah, exactly. And it's all just being reflected down. So clearly what's happening is that you just cannot see the bottom of the boat because of the air, because of the properties of the air. And that's all it is. But yeah, it's just another perspective. It was just another thing on perspective.
Cool.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, would you think that was a boat?
It's a stretched mess.
It's just a smudge, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it's as if
obviously
they get the bottom part of the picture and pull it down and stretch it out of all proportion. But obviously, that's obstruction if you're a baller, and that obstruction is curvature of the Earth.
Well, it's
Well, no, what's happened
it's
is
reflecting down on itself. There's a mirage line.
well, this boat is traveling away from me, so it's going further in the distance. So clearly, it's getting smaller, and as it's getting smaller, obviously the lower part of the boat, more of it is touching this dirty air. So that's it. So it's just being pulled down towards it. That's why the top part of the boat, for the most part, doesn't look too bad. It's just this lower part here. And obviously, the further away the boat goes, eventually at some point, it will just all converge into the horizon and that dirty air and just disappear. And it won't be that it won't be due to going over any curve. It'll just be because it's getting smaller and meeting that vanishing zone that we talk about. And that's all that happens with perspective. Yeah, just a smudge. And this was what it looked like originally, the boat. So you can see the difference between the two. Oh, Adam, you got anything for us, buddy?
Well, I was just saying, yeah, I had something for you last night. I did a special shark boat OBS window for you, pal, and I'll share it with you another time. But for me, that's the best one you've done because it's just like.
Cheers, all hell. Just changed my VPN settings, hopefully to correct.
Tree or a smaller cow in the distance, you know. Yeah, so sorry about that, mate.
That's right. Just if you can all just stay silent, just 2 or 3 seconds, just while I flick my VPN back on. Maybe not. You're still with me?
I'm still here, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
No
still
worries.
here.
Yep.
It even looks like an eye on that boat, doesn't it?
Yeah, showing shark boat.
I've got
Boat
shark boat
Mark
on.
II.
Sorry, I should be presenting it.
Oh, right, okay.
Sorry, my bad.
It's all right.
I take my favourite bit from yesterday, guys. You covered so much stuff with all the programs you were doing and on yesterday. But I've got to be honest. the one line that just made me piss my sides laughing was, I think it was P Mars started out making a sentence that included him having a girlfriend, and Nathan just, I'm just not having that. I'm just not having that. What? Got a girlfriend? Yeah. Well, that...
Where is your evidence? I didn't really believe that one either.
Yeah, Shatterbolt is excellent.
Even his eyes look. He's even got like an eye, and the
Dun,
nose. It looks like Jaws, doesn't it?
How far away was that, Ranty?
Does,
Shark boat.
do those jaws really open and close like that?
That really, Debbie?
You know, it was an ancient myth.
Not the real Debbie.
Here we go.
Very good, Ranty. I love it.
How far away was it, Ranty?
I'd be guessing. I wouldn't know. It would have appeared probably 8 or 10 miles away, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's a fair old distance, but clearly, obviously, that isn't the boat. You know, that isn't really being Jaws, but that's just the effect of the dirty air doing that. But the balls would say that's curve. Looks like
Yeah, any obstruction
the curve.
right? Little layer of mist on the horizon, curvature. Nath, do you want to present my screen, my friend?
Sure.
Wait, so are you guys saying that effect where the jaws look like they're opening and closing, that's an
optical
effect? That's not really happening?
Correct.
No.
Yo, that's crazy.
It's intermittent
You need to
curvature.
select that video and put some Jaws music behind it.
Yeah, I think you need to start that video, Ranty, when you show it with. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake. Because it is just
But
perfect.
that looks
for that video.
crazy.
Yeah, go to town on that, Ranty.
Right, you're on, Anthony.
Right, so if you're this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play this clip as well whilst I'm talking, because this clip does relate to the news article. But it says an asteroid will narrowly miss Earth Tuesday. Tuesday. Calling all space lovers, so obviously Red's rhetoric and all them people. An asteroid will come within that distance of Earth on May the 15th, according to whatever. The asteroid called 2010 WC9 is reported to be about the size of the Statue of Liberty. And the Catalina Sky Survey in Arizona first detected the asteroid 8 years ago, but lost sight of it. And then
How have they worked out the size, haven't they? I assume they've used angular perspective to calculate that.
Yeah, they need to know the actual distance, though, don't they? It could just have been a fly in the lens of the telescope that they think's a massive, because you can't tell how far these things are away because you don't know how big they actually are, and that is a prerequisite, of course, knowing how big or how far away these things are. You need to know its actual size or its actual distance, and they know none of these things.
It
Anyway.
could be a smaller cow nearer.
But don't worry, it's only going to be in 2135. So what we'll do is make sure you stick it in your diary. And if we all make it round to that right good old age, we'll be able to sit back and laugh when it doesn't happen. So obviously, nobody alive is ever going to experience this. But guess what? The best thing is they've called it Bennu. So instead of Belu, it's Bennu. So apparently, if you need to check, there's a small chance an asteroid a third of a mile across named Bennu will slam into the Earth with an impact energy equivalent to the currently deployed arsenal of this is a big one, by the way. That's not the one we were looking at. This is a big one. So what they're saying is this thing will happen right now. If this is ever proof that orbital mechanics does not work, you know what I mean? I'll have to get this call. One sec.
Shout out to Dan W.
Just beat me to it. Says, well, Dan's shouting us out. So shout out to Nathan, Anthony, Riley, Ranty, and everyone. Thank you, Dan. We'll shout ourselves out. Shout out to us. Woohoo! Just spread the word. That's all we ask. Next time you see a curve calculation, don't ask, tell them this doesn't account for perspective. Do you not think perspective is real? Are you an idiot?
Can I ask, has anybody asked Mick West, Mr. Mick West over there? why these calculations aren't in his calculator?
We got the answer from one of his gophers.
Hi, Owen.
Hey, hello guys.
Rumpus explained that it's not performing a viewing function.
Really?
Yeah, that was his explanation when we first had him
Well,
to the wall on this.
If it's not performing, to be fair, Rumpus is correct. It's not performing a viewing function.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's correct. So how are they going to get around this? Because that's what they've been like using as their Bible for like forever. There needs to be, you know, like in mirrors on modern cars, they have that disclaimer that says objects appear. Is it closer than they actually are, or further? Yeah,
Objects in the rearview mirror may appear closer than they actually are.
yeah. It needs something like that. Objects in this observer, objects in this what's the word, calculator, appear the same size as they really are, but in real life they should be much smaller. Hashtag perspective. That's what it needs.
Yeah.
Well, now that
can't
we've
imagine me
discovered that,
voting that one.
now that we've discovered that their mechanism is failed, is broken, they can't really do anything. Just like the boats going over the horizon story to prove the curve. Because if they fix it, then it no longer works. Then it no longer
yeah, that's
seems
right.
to be working. So they're just gonna leave it right there, right as it is, and try to pretend nothing ever happened.
So the
To
end,
be honest,
Arwin,
if I was
do you want to
Mick
do that
West-
shout out for that super chat? Can you do that for me, Arwin?
Free Tommy Robinson. Like it.
To be honest, if I was
Thanks for
Mick
that
West,
sled ball.
if I was Mick West, right, I would argue that my observation, my thingy, what's it called, my calculator, is not accounting for perspective. It's accounting for orthographic views. It's not my fault that you retards have all been applying an orthographic height to everything. It's your own fault.
Yeah, well, that's the point that we have to say to the globeheads who've done that. Oh, right, Mick West is saying it's you that are the retards.
Yeah, that's what it appears. That's what I would argue if I was Mick West. I would blame the ballers and the flat earthers for not spotting that you shouldn't be applying orthographic views when you're dealing with first person perspective. I'd blame us because it is kind of our fault, but it's misleading his website because it makes you think that that's the way to do it. Because it doesn't tell you that you should not consider it orthographically. You should consider it.
I don't know about that.
perspectively and
I'm pretty
reduce
sure
You
Mick
should
West
consider
presented...
it, but you should calculate it.
Hold on, didn't Mick West present you with a obscured view of the Blackpool Tower based on those calculations?
Oh yes, would you like to see it?
Yeah, I'd like to see that Mick West actually believes his own bullshit or is a liar. We'll just see whether or not Mick West has compared it to images of stuff in the distance and how they should appear. So yeah, I'd love to see that image. We'll see where Mick West stands and whether or not he compares what we should be seeing when we take a photograph to these calculations. If he does, he's either stupid or a liar. One or the other. Can't both be true.
Oh, I'll find it. I've cleaned up all my desktop. I don't have it to hand. I'll find it shortly, but it is around somewhere. But because I had to put a fresh version of Windows on it, I can't remember which folder it's in.
It's all right. If anybody wants to reference exactly what this picture is, there's the first opening to the UK convention was Anthony doing this demonstration, and it is in that video. So I excuse me, I spin the camera around and actually filmed the projection screen showing that. So I think it's called Anthony Riley Opens UK Conference or something like that.
Yeah, and he shows it from first-person perspective mode, right? And he shows the horizon obscuring most of the tower, and obviously that's what he tells us is what it should look like. But his model shows it orthographically, and it's like, oh, actually, so thinking about it, he does push it as perspective.
Right, that's my point. So either he's stupid and doesn't understand his own mistake, or he's a liar and he's pushing this to fool other people. Either way, if he tries to blame other people for using it in that way, he has used it in that way.
Correct. Oh, Mick West.
You tried
Have you got that song of
your
East?
best. Let's see if we can dig it out.
You should, you know, at the beginning of your show, you should lead it in with that. Oh, Mick West, and then just stop because you don't need to say anymore. It's a great song.
Just consider it orthographic view, or consider it perspective,
Do you
but
want to learn-
calculate it orthographically.
Yep, smash that super chat, Hoof-Hearted HD. Cheers. Keep smashing it.
Oh, and shout out to Sean Hufford, who believes that claims he's doing an experiment. Oh, we'll do that science.
Oh, Mick West, you tried your best. Couldn't pass the
Hilarious.
test of Anthony Riley. Oh, Mick West, you tried your best. Couldn't pass the test of Anthony Riley. Mick West, you really tried your best. Didn't pass the test.
Nice.
Go on.
Really?
Play the rest of it.
There's so much wrong.
That
There's so much wrong with that.
was hilarious.
That calculator. I mean, the presuppositional R value, bendy light to the rate of 7/6, and obviously the perspective orthographic conflict. I mean,
And you cut him off before he gave me the shout out too.
cut you off.
He has me in the song too.
Oh, I'm
does it?
sorry. I will link it. I'll link it in the info box and I'll stick it in the chat in a sec.
Oh, I didn't. Oh.
I'll play us out
Who's
with it,
saying that
Ranty. I
song?
promise. I promise.
That was when we was getting on Mick West's case for a couple of months, weren't we, Anthony?
Yeah,
Was,
I mean,
was that Issa?
Go on.
Was that Issa?
Yeah, Issa.
Issa's hilarious. Oh,
Yeah, he's ace. So how fit for purpose is that metabunk curve calculator then? Let's go through the issues. It has a bendy light to the rate of 7/6R. It has a radius. It's a presuppositional argument. And it also has a perspective view. It has a orthographic view reference to a perspective world that we all observe. Does it actually help us in any way at all? Probably not.
Anthony, we have depended upon that website though to show, because we can see this, and we use the what do they call it, the refracted hidden. So we shouldn't be able to see it. We constantly go back to that metabunk. I don't think we should be using it at all.
No, I don't.
No more reference to it at all.
And
I
what
don't
do
mind
we
if
do
people
going
reference
forward?
it.
Reference
Oh,
it?
no. On the contrary. I don't mind people bringing that calculator. Bring the calculator,
Nah.
please. Bring it. Show us your proof.
As long as we're not using it.
Oh, I've been saying that to Anthony for months, but he still brings it on the show.
Anthony, where did you see the Blackpool Tower from? Was it Hoylake? Was it?
Yeah, the RNLI station at Hoylake.
Yeah, well, we've all made the same mistake. Once we've seen something in the distance and we've gone back to Metabunk and say, see, it must be wrong because, but the whole thing is just fundamentally flawed. I don't think we should even refer to it.
I think you have to refer to it, and you have to refer to it and say, look, you are correct. You do, if you're going to do your assumptions for a ball, you do have to put your curvature calculation in. Once you've done that, then apply your perspective stuff as well.
I think what we
Yeah,
should
well,
do is say, see, we can see the Blackpool Tower from Hoylake, therefore it's flat, and let them refer to Metabunk, not us. We shouldn't make that first move. Let them do it.
I've got an idea. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull up the Metabunk curve calculator, and if Mick West is watching, because we know that he does watch periodically, let's go through the adjustments that should be made to the curve calculator so that it accurately matches the real world in which we live in. So all I'll do is screen share that one. Nathan,
You're just going to put a straight line in, just like flat.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wouldn't that just be deleting it since there is no curve? So
Well,
why
let's do it
is
to
there a
help.
calculator
let's do it
for
for
a
the
curve
benefit
that
of
doesn't
Mick.
exist?
So Mick, if you are watching, this is what you need to do to make this thing useful in any way whatsoever, right? So let's open up Paint, get it on the big screen. We are doing this, aren't we, Nathan?
Yeah, I see it.
Right, so let's have the box and we'll make it the color. We need to, it's been a while since I've used this. How do I change that color? Oh, there we go. So is that right? Does that work? How do I make it a fill? There we go, fill, solid color. Right, so let's try that again. Yeah, that works. Right, so let's see the things that we need to do to make this useful and workable in daily work. Right, so the first thing, well, this orthographic view, we're going to have to remove that completely because nobody observes the world in an orthographic view. So that needs to go. So that's gone. Standard refraction at 7/6R. Well, obviously the R is presuppositional and light does not bend in this way. So that can go as well. And then we're left with this stuff from Gizzy Hub, the same stuff. So Earth curves, horizon bulging, hidden indicator, calculator, all this bits and pieces. Calculator, yeah, we can keep that. Sure. Standard refraction is no, we'll have to get rid of that because standard refraction is not an approximation of the refraction expected under standard atmospheric conditions. Because in there it talks about the 4 variables that need to be in there to change it, and there's no reference to that in your maths. It's 7/6R, and there's no resemblance whatsoever. And then we're left with balls, actual atmospheric results, and we can get rid of that as well. So basically, we're only left with that. That's all we need. That's what you need to do, Mick.
But the horizon's only 3 miles away.
You've
That's
missed one
wrong
bit
as well.
But you've
Yeah,
still
it's
missed one bit.
nonsense.
So you've missed out the fact that in that calculation they don't reduce for the angular size reduction at distance. So even that we're left with, and again, that's providing we allow them to beg the question. There's no scientific evidence of the R value that calculation is based on. So that is totally fallacious also. But if we have to grant them the presupposition of the holy R value, then that calculation is spurious too, because it's still based on the side elevation. Dizzy Hub and Metabunk, if you ignore refraction, that is, on the Metabunk calculation, both base their position on a third-party position, looking at the observation being made, and therefore it maintains the heights of the target object and the viewer height. So ultimately, it is totally fallacious. It does not account for angular size reduction.
Yeah, let's put it in its simplest of forms. If the Earth's a flat plane, like we think it might be, then all that happens is objects get smaller over distance. But if the Earth's a ball, they get smaller over distance and drop behind an apparent curve. And we don't see that. So we need the construct for what you guys claim based on perspective. And let's see the maths for that and the demonstration, please. So Mick, you might as well redesign your whole website because it doesn't do anything that it should be doing. It's lying. Misleading at best.
Yeah, it's just, what's the word? Ignorant.
Would it be classed as propaganda or would it be just fraud?
He can claim ignorance. He can just claim he's stupid if he wants to. He's missed out a step. He's missed out the angular size reduction for a perspective view, which is what people compare when using his maths. So he's ignorant of perspective, something a child would understand, yet he seems to have eluded that fact from his maths. So that could be classed as ignorance, innocent ignorance, right? Well, no, you've misled the world, my friend. Retractions need to be made.
Yeah. Significant retractions. And to be honest, they should be credited as well. You should say, with thanks to Nathan Oakley's show, these are the amendments are below or something like that, because obviously he does watch. We know he watches. And now we've realised that this nonsense doesn't reflect the world in which we live in at all. We don't see a world orthographically. So I wonder how long it'll be before you have to put a new figure underneath, Mick, because that whole figure, that orthographic reference underneath, that needs to go.
He could just be polite and say, thanks, guys, for helping me, helping me with my maths and getting me through it.
Thanks for helping me with my misrepresentative maths.
Yeah,
well,
thank you for
pointing out my glaring errors.
Thank you for pointing out my glaring error. That's right.
Amendment.
Thank you for highlighting where my ignorance has made me look very foolish and made lots of globeheads who have used this maths to date look very foolish because they're all incorrect. They've missed a step. They don't account for something that a 5-year-old would understand, that objects in the distance get smaller. You don't maintain target size when you are taking into account a perspective view, which is what a camera does, which is what a video does, which is what your eyeballs do. All of these things take into account as perspective, as does everybody every time they open their eyes in the morning. And yet it seems Mick has forgotten this step. Well, yeah, we will expect some thanks for pointing out your ignorance. We'll also expect some retractions for the misleading information you have put on your website.
I drew in like 1 minute, very basic concept of what it's like. It's so terrible.
Looks like a cave painting, that, Arwen.
Yeah, as I said, it took me 1 minute in Photoshop. I didn't even.
It's not a
didn't
Dutch
even use a
master, is it,
ruler or
Alan?
anything.
I mean, that's beautiful.
But you
man.
know what?
That's just beautiful.
That's great to show exactly how buildings should be slanting away from us at the supposed horizon. And we never see buildings slanted like that ever. Ever, ever, ever.
Let me suggest a scenario, and let's come to a consensus for what would be the outcome. Can you imagine, right? If you know that the ball Earth argument is that some bloke stuck 2 sticks in the ground called Aristophanes, and he calculated within 5% the radius of the Earth. Can you imagine if, for example, Jeranism stuck 2 sticks in the ground and calculated that the Earth was flat? Do you think that would be considered credible in terms of science, right? But pushing that one step further, pushing it one step. Oh, I've lost my train of thought now. I was gonna laugh at them in some way, and I can't remember what it was. I'll have to come back to it. It'll come back to me. I was just laughing at the idea of Jeranism putting 2 sticks in the ground and people laughing. People accepted that was the shape of the Earth radius based on it.
I've seen Math Powerland do that live. So just during a stage show, he was just playing his guitar or doing whatever he did, and he literally just got I can't remember if it was a mic stand. I think it might have been a mic stand. Just popped it on the ground, got one of the stage lights and moved it across, and got the exact same effect that Aristophanes would have got, apparently got 2,000 years ago. But he just didn't beg the question. He didn't insert an R value on the obvious flat land he was standing on. Math Powerland, this is. He just showed that you can get the same effect for both. It doesn't prove anything. It's in no way scientific. It doesn't adhere to the scientific method. It is literally nonsense.
I've just remembered what it was.
Go ahead.
What would be the position, right, if Jeren said that he was going to calculate the size of the Earth, or he was going to show that it was flat? He used 2 sticks in the ground to make the point, and then we all accepted it, right? If it turned out to be completely wrong, and it turned out that it was useless, and his prediction was useless, and all the maths he put into his calculations was wrong, do you think that all the flat earthers would instantly start defending him and basically push that it was right anyway? Now let's change this into the scenario that we have here. We have the Earth curve calculated by Metabunk, which is shown to be wrong, fallacious, incorrect, misleading on at least 3 instances, which is the orthographic view, the presumption of R, and the bendy light at 7/6 of the radius. Them 3 things there are basically what they rip it apart. Why is it the case that if it was Jeren with sticks in the ground, he would be scorned, ridiculed, called a liar, all the names that you can imagine? And if it's Mick West with the curve calculators, none of them seem to batter an eyelid. What's going on there? Why is the bias so in favor of the Earth being a sphere that they will literally turn a blind eye to mistakes, errors, misinformation, disinformation, nonsense?
I've got the answer.
If Jeren was to do the same thing,
got the answer. So this was what you missed. You asked when you joined. What did I miss? We were talking about battered wife syndrome.
Right. So battered wife syndrome is where the woman will stay with the bloke no matter what, right?
Right. So why has we been lied to? Why is this calculation wrong? Why are we being shown by these... I'm talking in the third person. Why are we being shown by these idiot flat earthers, Mick West, that this calculation is wrong? Why would it be the case that they can now go back to anything we've ever used with this calculation, apply an angular size reduction, and totally destroy our argument? Yeah? Well, Mick West's explanation, the fact that they are potentially going to even ask him for it, shows that they're like battered wives. They don't just go, "You've lied to me," and then turn their back on this person and realise that they've been lied to. They want the explanation from the wife beater. Why have you hit me? Why have you given me this black eye? What have I done to anger you?
So what
Would you like some dinner?
What would be the position then if Jeren made a flat Earth calculator that was destroyed so badly with presuppositions, nonsense, rhetoric? Why would the ballers not destroy Mick West and for misleading everybody? Why is it that they're doing nothing about it? They're like shoveling it under the mat and hoping it goes away. Well, you can guess what, guys? It ain't going to go away. This is just going to snowball because hopefully everybody within Flat Earth are going to start beating the drum about this point and reminding the ballers that this is completely and utterly nonsense. Yet, where's the action from the ballers? Where's the corrections on Mick West's website? Why is there still this stuff going up there? And why are people still even using it? It's not going to change, is it? Let's be honest. And if it does change, I'd like to see what it changes to, and then give us a couple of months on it while we work out how it's been cheated, and we'll come back to you with it. But fundamentally, if it was Jeren that had done something like this, it would be destroyed. So why are the ballers not doing anything about this, and why are they not denouncing it, and why are they not saying, nah, it's not acceptable, it is wrong? Where's the admissions and the concessions, please?
Yeah,
Or are you
why am I being
intellectually
asked
honest?
by? Why am I the
They've
one?
already resorted to red herrings anyway.
So where's the intellectual honesty, guys?
Yeah.
I think
Why am
that's
I
the
being asked?
difference in the two communities. You're saying what would happen if we all accepted it, and I think that's the reality. That the flat Earth community wouldn't just accept something just because it's got confirmation of your understanding. It would be scrutinized. When I first met the guys at Iron Realm, I'd done my first curvature calcs, which was mathematically correct, but again, it was not representing the reality. And I remember spending many a night, a bit like you guys argue over Isle of Man stuff, you know, good, honest, hammer and tongs at each other, no malice at each other, but really ripping each other's points apart and scrutinizing it to get to a truth. And that's clearly what's not happened in the ballers. They've accepted Mick's word, and none of them have evaluated it before doing it. They talk about peer review. That was just fluffing. The peer review on Mick West thing has occurred by you guys, you know.
Well, let me put it into perspective, right? What would be the equivalent foul or the equivalent mistake, fraud, deceit on our part would be that we'd seen all the arguments for and against, whether it was Isle of Man or Scotland or Ireland, and we still pushed it as truth that it was Ireland, rather than concede that we didn't know the scale. We worked it out. Thank you very much. Now we know what we're talking about. But the crime would be to keep pushing that it was Ireland, right? Not to make concessions, not to admit that we didn't get things absolutely right, but we did get closure on stuff, which is more important, isn't it? Like, we get closure on stuff, and it turns out that, yeah, sure, we might not have got Ireland, but ultimately it was still a great flat Earth proof, because that land at the Bride, north of Isle of Man, still shouldn't be seen from the beach, and we're still waiting for the Rumpers to come back to us on that, in the same way that we're waiting for Paul Voigt on the molten iron core stuff. So, I mean, wouldn't it be the equivalent foul for us to keep pushing that it was Ireland, regardless, even though we know that it's not? So if you guys are going to not jump all over Mick West and get this calculator changed completely and make it match real world so we can test the shape of the Earth, then you can never, ever criticize anybody on Flat Earth ever again for any element of even just innocent mistake. We could just lie through our teeth, because that's what you guys are accepting from Mick West.
No. I've got to stop you there, because that's sinking to their level. It's like, I've had a few times, I'm not going to single him out, but I've got to, where Jeren's kind of done similar things. Well, I can fake this, or I can, show it. And yes, he does it well, because he does it with humour. It's obvious that he's paralleling, mirroring their activities. But to lay that down as a standard, no way, no.
No, I'm not laying it down as a standard. I'm contrasting it to that standard. I'm saying that would be our equivalent behaviour.
Right.
And obviously, we don't do that. We make concessions.
Right,
We
exactly, yes. We don't do that, though, exactly. We will call each other out often.
I'm contrasting.
Jeren has always been honest about his mistakes, hasn't he?
I don't know.
No, I'm just saying that when people parallel or mirror...
I got it wrong, and this is where I got it wrong.
I'm not saying Jeren's doing anything like that. What I'm saying is when people mirror the activities of a wrongdoer to highlight that activity, that is not an acceptable standard, and it's a delicate tightrope when you do it, because you have to do it with humour or satire or something of that nature, so that it's just not you being as big a arsehole as the person who's lying in the first place. Yeah,
you're right. It's not an argument, is it?
No. So what are the ballers going to do about this? Are they going to hope that it goes away? Because I'm not going to stop beating this drum. And I'm pretty sure that Adam understands the point so much so that it's about unity, and I'm sure he'll beat the drum. And I'm hoping that Globebusters, when they start streaming again, if it's on Sunday coming or if it's next Sunday, I hope they mention it and dwell on it, because the more people that become aware that there are massive failings on that, I mean, even if we do live on a ball, the way he's got it showing is wrong. So, come on, guys, get onto Mick West, get it changed so we can test the shape of the Earth, because it's clearly wrong.
So Alan B in the chat is claiming that he can't get on because he's blocked, even if I eject him, he manages to rejoin with a new account. So he's just lying. But just to point that out to anybody who might be reading the chat in the re-upload. So Alan B can absolutely join if he chooses to, but he knows what will happen. So yeah, that's why he's not joining. Not because he can't, not because he's blocked. He manages it every other day.
Just shout out to Ruhif as well. I wonder how you're getting on with that changing the radius of the Earth mathematics that you're working on.
I'd like Adam to address something Ruhif said in one of the other chats. He said that by applying the perspective value and the curve, you're double dipping. I'm just hoping Adam will address that.
Yeah. Well, you're not double dipping. I think.
Hang on, what does that mean?
You are having to apply, as it goes in the Taboo conspiracy video, it's that 63%. It's that double reduction that you have to apply. And Orwin's cave painting.
Hang on a sec. What's the problem with double dipping?
No. Double dipping would be if you apply the same formula twice for the same thing, i.e. it's spurious on account of the fact that you're accounting for one thing 2 times. Well, that's not what we're doing.
No. If we live on a plane, we reduce the angular size. That's it. Perspective.
It's like saying we'll apply the height calculation, but not the distance. And then we go, oh no, you've got to apply the distance. And then go, oh, well, that's double dipping. Well, no, it's not. It's just a different parameter.
The first, see, to apply, there is a slight difference in the maths. It's not just a simple matter of put the curve on and then apply the same angular size resolution. There is a slight fault in some of the maths that I think is being done, because technically, because you apply the curve to it to set up your calculations, as you curve, actually some of the distance reduces slightly, because some of the distance is applied downwards as the curve increases. So some of the maths would change. So it's not a double dip. The first point is to set it up in their model to be able to analyze it. So you reset the geography as they're proclaiming it to be. In doing so, that does alter the angular size calculations just slightly, but if you've been correct, you should slightly do that, so it brings it slightly nearer. But then you do then have to apply those same angular size calculations. So it's not a double dip. It is applying the mathematics correctly to represent the reality you're trying to measure.
I think that's a fundamentally dishonest statement, though, to claim or assert that it's a double dip, because what you're saying there is that you're applying the maths twice. No, moron. If we live on a plane, the object will shrink over distance, right? That's a function of distance. But if we live on a ball, that same function over distance will occur, but there will be a drop as well because we live on a ball. And that's not double dipping, moron. That's literally the way it should be. That's the maths.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, I'm sure you know what to do. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!